So, for those of you who don't know, we have a program. It's called Raps for Warriors. And what we like to do is we like to highlight a veteran owned business, and we like to give them a free rap, and we like to basically just give back to them as they're giving to the community. And what's so cool about what you do is not only that you're a veteran, but you also help other veterans.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we just thought it was a great fit. And so we're very honored to be able to bless you with this, and in hopes that you will spread the word about the things that you talk to veterans about, and we'll get into that in a minute.
Sure.
And then essentially be able to help, hundreds and thousands of veterans and their journey after they get out of the military, which, from talking to you earlier, it can be quite a feat to transfer from military life to civilian life, and kind of what that looks like.
Right.
And I hope I'm not out of turn by saying this, but it almost, when you were talking to me earlier, it almost sounded like the same thing whenever someone's transitioning from being incarcerated to coming out into the free world.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good assessment, but just when you were explaining it, because I don't think about that as an average citizen just walking around. We get to do what we want to when we want to, and
Right.
the military is a different world. It's a entirely
Oh, yeah,
different.
it's 24/7.
Right. So yeah, we're very blessed to be able to do this with you and to partner with you in this. And we really appreciate the work that you have done and the work that you're doing. So tell me, like, what made you want to work with veterans, and what kind of sparked that interest?
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to work with veterans. That's the
Okay.
problem. I ran away from it for a long time. I am one, so it's pretty easy to understand what folks think. And there's different variable lines as far as veterans are concerned as to how severe somebody's life in the military was compared to how easy some may say another person's was. There's lots of different places, but everybody serves. It's an honorable thing. I've been able to deal with people's lives for years. I was a pastor for over 30 years and live in a military community. And as a guy who got out of the military in a military community, I'm always going to meet and spend time with military people and veterans. And coincidentally, I get to speak into their lives or help them, but actually focusing on a business that just deals with veterans is a tough call. There's some amazing organizations out there. I think most people would think off the top of the head two things like Wounded Warriors or now Tunnels to Tower. They have great opportunity to advertise. They've got some great donors, and they can do some really wonderful things they do. But there's so many great organizations out there doing a lot of things, just not one collective voice that's able to shine a light on all kinds of areas to make a difference, right? Not that they're not making a difference, they are. But I felt like there was a shortfall in the United States here to actually make a major difference. And some of it's not just helping them with certain things that they need, which is fantastic. It's about doing preventative things to stop somebody from getting to a place where they need that kind of help anyway.
Right.
I think there's some stoppages there for people to be able to get that kind of help, even though there's help out there. So I want to try to make some noise about it. So now I've got to make some big noise in a little mini car with my little rat that I got, which I'm so grateful for. It's amazing. We were talking about it earlier that, just driving around town, it's not a big impact, but now I'm going to have something on there that says something, and specifically in, the largest military base in the world here at Fort Bragg.
Right.
Of course, they call Fort Liberty now, but everybody still says Bragg. You never know who's going to see the car, and I don't have to say a word. It might be just looking at it to see a suicide hotline on the back that stops somebody from committing suicide, which is an amazing thing to be able to do in a horrible situation.
Or it could be a spouse that maybe their husband or wife are dealing with things and they see it, but they're sort of afraid to reach out to them. And so they see you and they're like, you're a bridge to the gap that can maybe provide some help. And it's kind of like, that might be a cool way to reach somebody.
Really?
And, we all drive wrapped vehicles here, and we get stopped all the time about all kind of stuff about the wrap. So I definitely think that it will turn some heads, and then it'll also make a difference.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about a wrap, and you already know this, is if you do events and stuff like that, it kind of makes a statement, and you don't
Right.
have to say anything.
Yeah.
And
And
so
it's
that's
cheaper than booth rental.
right. And so that's really awesome. What Tell me kind of what services do you offer? Like, what is it that you do that's maybe different, or what is it that you do that you saw a void in that
Yeah.
people aren't doing as far as helping veterans?
Yeah. So my primary focus now is dealing with active duty military or veterans that suffer from PTSD, suicidal ideation, or lack of purpose. Specifically, with my training as an NLP practitioner, that's neuro linguistic programming. So we deal with your mind. And a lot of my training over the years in counseling and whatnot. So I'm able to pull those things together rather than trying to help somebody start a business or a career or something. Somebody who's doubting their life could care less about starting a business or a career. That's
Right.
pointless. I thought, man, I really am going to have to deal with people first. And should we want to go down that road another time, that's fine. But on the front side, my focus is try to help those folks, and I think over the past few years, there's been a lot of great noise made. There's a lot of people that have been doing this 22 thing, which is, 22 push-ups or 22 miles or 22 whatever, which has been good. But at the end of the day, it's not making an impact because since that campaign's happened, the new numbers are now saying it's between 40 to 44 people a day that are committing suicide or dying from drug overdose or living under a bridge or whatever. But it's almost at to about 44, which is double of what it was.
Right.
I'm thinking if people understood that was double,
How
it's an
long
epidemic.
since when did that double?
In the past 2 years, that number has doubled. There are several reporting agencies out there that have been going through the stats and stuff like that. I'm not a statistician. I just look up stuff and find it. And I was blown away at the number. I think most people, if they hear it, would be blown away.
Right.
It's almost unbelievable. And I think in most cases, folks, they might hear it, but we're such a desensitized world now. I think that a lot of times when people hear it, they're sort of blown away as well. But I think we live in such a desensitized world that it doesn't make the impact that it should, which is like, this is an epidemic. I told you before, if you turned on the news tonight and it said today 44 veterans committed suicide across the nation, be like, man, that's horrible. Did you hear about that, honey? Yeah, it's bad news. I hope somebody does something about that. Next day, today 44 veterans killed themselves by suicide. Right. Honey, did you hear that? Didn't they say that yesterday? Yeah. The next day, 44 veterans day. Could you imagine day after day after day after day hearing that statistic, which is real?
Why do you think the media is sort of not reporting those numbers, or why do you think they're sort of masking over? Like, what do you think's going on there?
It doesn't make money, that's for sure.
Right.
I don't think they have an answer for that, and I don't think there's solid enough answers to provide the solution we're looking for.
Right.
Obviously, if it's doubled in the past couple of years from things that seemed to be pretty cool, something's wrong. It's not just the guys and gals that are killing themselves. That's bad. But what can we do prior to that? It's like hearing about somebody that does a mass shooting somewhere. And then they all start talking about, well, somebody had to know this person. Somebody had to know they had a problem. We don't always know that somebody has a problem. Right. But if we can make some things easier and more accessible for those that actually do have the problem, who know they have a problem, but they didn't tell anybody they have a problem, because a lot of times it's embarrassing. It's private. It's you don't want nobody else knows. Maybe the spouse doesn't even know. Sometimes they do. Mostly they do. But that's a big deal to tell somebody that you're thinking about killing yourself. And you say that, you think, I'm going to be put in nut ward or something like that. They're going to hold me. That's a lot of stuff to deal with.
Right. Do you think it's because when you think of military, you think of guys, and guys don't really share their feelings? And do you think that's part of why maybe this isn't addressed amongst, like the veterans themselves, whether they're guys or girls?
Right.
Do you think that could be part of it?
I think it's part of it. I don't think it's all of it. I think a lot of it comes down to preparation. Everything comes down to preparation. Things we learned in the military was whatever you do in practice, you do in war. So when you're trying to get out of the military, I think there's a lot of things that they can do for us to help us prepare for being out.
Right.
And some of the right questions, the right atmospheres can provide the opportunity for people to bring up things in an area where they're comfortable versus when you're out of the military and you're like, oh, what happened? I don't know what to do because nobody's telling me what to do anymore. And I have to think for myself. Not that we're dummies, but you're told one thing to do, you do one thing, you do it well. And then when you come out, you've got to make all these choices and decisions, and it can be quite overwhelming. And many times you don't want to say what that is.
Right. Tell me, we were talking earlier and you said that you had a point where you felt like you kind of had a new lease on life and a second chance. And kind of tell me a little bit about that and what transcended and all that stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it really starts back before I even went in the military. I was dealing with drugs and alcohol and girls and all that kind of stuff. And I was a troubled youth, and I kind of ran away to the army. And that didn't make things better. It actually made it worse because now I had a plethora of other things out there to do.
Right.
And I did them. But then I had to come to the reality about some things. I realized that it wasn't providing me what I needed. Somebody came along, shared a message with me about Jesus, and I'm like, who? I mean, kind of knew he was, but I didn't know who he was.
Right.
And it changed my life. And that changed some of the direction of the things I wanted to do. I decided I want to become a chaplain and go out and get out of the military, come back in as a chaplain. So I got out and after the Gulf War, and then I went to seminary and didn't go back in. I just stayed in Fayetteville and started pastoring, and one thing after another, and here I am.
And then, things were going well. You were pastoring and helping folks. You were a youth pastor and some other things. And then all of a sudden, what comes into your life that kind of changes the whole thing.
Yeah. The big C, not Crump, but cancer, right? Mr. Crump, you have cancer. Boy, when somebody says that to you, it kind of changes direction.
I could only imagine.
Yeah, it was fun. And I say that definitely sarcastically, but
right.
I learned a lot of things. Definitely learned that cancer is a funny little evil thing, and they thought they had everything under control, and they didn't. Turns out it got even worse. I went stage 4, lost my adrenal gland, went to my lungs, I had lung cancer, eventually made it to my brain, had to have emergency brain surgery, and then I ended up having brain surgery twice. And when that happened, then I thought, well, man, they just told me that I'm good. I don't have cancer. I'm like, it's always been something looming. It was always there. We were going to keep checking for this, but they said, no, you're good. We're going to keep looking at you because things can happen. But right now you're clean. Well, what do I do? Because now I'm back to the situation where I've been doing one thing all this time.
Right.
And now what do I do? Kind of same thing as when you get out of the military. I've been doing this job all this time, and now what do I do?
That's what I was thinking when you were talking about it earlier. I was thinking how you transitioning, or anybody transitioning from just your life being a certain way for such a long time, and then all of a sudden in the blink of an eye it changes,
right?
And then it changes back, and so you're just like, how do I readjust to all this stuff, and how do I make it work, and how do I adjust to this new life that I have? And it seems like you've been through that several times, and I think you're great when it comes to like overcoming things. Like when I think about you and your business and as just an individual, I just see the word overcomer, because that's just, I feel like you've overcame so many obstacles. And I think that kind of gives you the license to say, okay, I've overcome a lot of this stuff, so I do have what it takes to help you overcome some of these things as a veteran, and overcome just obstacles in life in general.
I think that's probably where I had the difficulty of living into what you just mentioned. It's easier for you to say those things and observe me from the outside, but on the inside, I'm like, am I really that guy? Am I really, there's a lot of pressure to be the guy who's the overcomer.
Right.
Because everybody expected me to be the next day to share something else about how I overcome. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, I don't know how I'm going to overcome this thing right here. But if I go that route, you're not going to listen to me anymore. And I'm going to, so there's so much there. And making that choice to kind of dig into this area was difficult to do.
How does someone get up with you? How, if they want to retain your services, or just talk to you or open up to you about things, like What's the best way to do that?
Sure. Well, I mean, obviously, we live in a digital world now, and things have changed. So I do have an office space and place for people to come, but they're going to find me first online,
Right.
or they're going to find me locally driving around my little Mini that I just heard start up out back there. That I'm getting ready to see shortly, which is going to be cool. But they can visit me on the website, which is veteran-alliance.us, or on Facebook or Instagram. I'm easily found on there. My handle is at Matt Crump, the number 4, the letter U, Matt Crump for you. And they can find me on Facebook. They can find our Veterans Coaching Alliance page on Facebook, our Instagram page, all that kind of
Right.
stuff. So I mean, I'm reachable. So there's ways to do that. And I'm a government contractor now. You know, all that means is I just spent time and money to get in a place and position where I could do contracts. And I'm ready to do that too.
So the government can contract you to help veterans. Is that what you're saying? Or
Yeah. If there's areas that align with what I'm doing, there's certain codes and stuff you have to do and do. There's all kinds of rules in the world, right?
a lot of red tape, I'm sure.
Lots
Yeah.
of it, and I have to be in certain areas. But I'm on that radar, and they can send me some requests for things. Or primarily, you have to just spend a lot of time just surfing through things and saying, "Oh, I should do that," right? And find things that are relative to what I'm able to do.
Right. And then we had spoken a little bit about you being with Grant Cardone for a little bit, and how was it meeting him? How was that whole experience, and what kind of led you to that?
Yeah. So of course, Grant Cardone's a big social media guy, real estate guy, lots of money, and he has this brand 10X that a lot of people know about, right? 10X.
Right.
And he's partnered with another guy named Pete Vargas, and Pete has a program about stages. His passion is about stages and opportunity for people to speak on stage. The two of them joined forces, and then they started this American Idol for speakers called the Great American Speak Off.
Okay.
I was asked to put in a submission for it. I did. They liked it. I went on TV all day long with everybody was online basically, and I got to my chance to do my little 2-minute spiel, and all the numbers that were there, thousands of people. I was chosen out of 125 across the nation to join him in Florida and compete for the top 15. I did not make the top 15, but I did pretty
Well, that's
good.
still a feat, you know.
I got there. I got
right.
past thousands of people.
But just the experience of those things sometimes can give you a lot of insight and
Yeah, it did.
a lot of help. And so if while we're kind of wrapping this up, if someone wants to,
No pun intended.
if someone wants to donate to you, or to maybe do you partner with other veteran organizations and charities and such? Or
Yeah, absolutely. My desire and goal as we grow is to continue to be a resource for organizations that I'm aware of, not just stuff that I see on TV, but I want to know who you are.
right.
Like, I wouldn't tell anybody to go to Rap Sync because I saw a thing on social media about you. I want to meet Brent Tatum and talk to him and see what he does. I want to see his work.
I'm special.
You are special. You should see his school bus when he was a kid. But I want to know who you are, so that when I say, "Hey, you need to go see this guy," I'm genuinely know what I'm talking about, and I want to do that with all the kind of resources that are available out there. So there's those routes and the ways they can give to us. A lot of the things I've found during this period of time with the Great American Speak Off, and I knew prior, was most veterans can't afford anything. If they're not 100% or going through the VA, they're not going to go to a shrink, and they're not going to go spend money out of their pocket to do it. And if they or don't have insurance,
Right.
So my service is, how do I get paid? How do I survive as a guy trying to provide services? I don't have a zillion dollars, so how am I supposed to live too? So I do have a 501c3 as well as the LLC. So Veterans Coaching Alliance VCA is an LLC, but I also have a 501c3, and we have an opportunity for people that can give. A lot of times folks love to say these 3 words, thank you for your service.
Right.
Now it's almost to the point like when somebody sneezes in a room and somebody says, "Oh, God bless you." It's like a knee-jerk reaction. You see a shirt that says veteran, "Hey, thank you for your service." "Oh, I better say something because he's a veteran. Thank you for your service." People mean well, but at the end of the day, thank you for your service didn't stop 44 people from killing themselves today.
Right.
Thank you for your service didn't stop all the problems that we're having as people that are getting to the point of wanting to kill themselves. Thank you for your service didn't help somebody get a house. Thank you for your service didn't help somebody get a leg or an arm or whatever, right? It's a good place. Don't get me wrong. But let's put your money where your mouth is. If you want to say thank you for your service, do things that's going to make a difference. Don't
Right.
just struggle to find the right words. Do something. So I found that, I could say, well, then give me the money. Show me the money.
Right.
Give me the money that I can put into an account that's specifically set aside for folks that can't afford these services so they can get it. We can scholarship them. If I can't be the guy to help them because I'm not Superman, I can't do it all, then we can point them in the right direction. So we have a couple different ways to do that through our organization.
That's awesome. And whenever we put the video up, I'll put all those links up. So
Cool.
Whoever watches the video can see
like
that
right there.
And so I just want to say thank you for what you do. Thank you for the help that you're providing. And, to you folks out there, if you know someone that's hurting, a veteran that is struggling and they need some help like this guy, this is who you need to get up with. I've spent some time with him over the last, couple of days. We've chatted a lot. And so I know that he is fully capable, and he honestly is a wide open book whenever you talk to him. And he definitely wants to better the veteran community and to see them thrive and to not see them struggle.
Right.
And so is there any last thing you want to say? Or
a couple of things. One, you mentioned that, and one easy thing to do now that they've established, which is really cool, that you can, if you're struggling with something and you can't get a hold of me or somebody like me, you can dial 988. 988 is a specific number now, a suicide hotline number that deals with folks that are struggling right now, 24/7. Just dial 988. That's the number, and they can get you in contact with somebody or talk to you right then and there. If you're not to that point and you're just looking for some help, then I'd love to help you for sure, or at least point you in the right direction. But 988 is a really great tool that we have out there now, and the VA is really pushing that as well. VA has some great things, and 988 was a great opportunity for people to quickly find help that they need.
And that's a suicide prevention hotline?
That's right.
Okay. That's
it's
so
now
awesome.
On the back of my vehicle, thanks to Wraps Inc.
Yeah. What is the hashtag that we put on there? I can't.
End the war on 44.
And that's the number of suicides daily that are being committed by veterans.
That's right. It's horrific. It's an epidemic. It's got to end.
And so on that, we'll end this. And thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
But today we're putting our money where our mouth is.
Yeah.
And Matt with the Wraps for Warriors program, we're going to unveil his wrap here in just a little while. And so if you're watching this video and you don't see that part of it, make sure you look for it, because we want to see that beautiful wrap and to ultimately help others. And so if we can help, in that cause as well, and the stuff that in the vehicle wrap that we provide and the artwork and all that stuff, if somebody notices it and changes a life, like that's so worth it for me. And we're really glad to be a part of what you're doing and to partner with you. And we just know that you're going to go on to reach many people, many lives.
Can't wait.
And it's going to be great.
Do they know about you?